Basically, we're less than 2 weeks out from the World Cup, and we're not ready. We have capacity with these stadium cameras. They're up, they're installed, but they're not turned on. And that's the reason for the letter.
Today, the head of the Seattle City Council's Public Safety Committee said that he believes Seattle is not ready for the upcoming FIFA World Cup games, which start within 2 weeks. He points the finger directly at Mayor Wilson and says she's violating the law and her charter as mayor.
At least 20 cameras will be going up around the stadium district ahead of the World Cup, but they'll be dark.
We can't lean so heavily on cameras as our public safety strategy. I haven't seen any evidence that cameras really deter or prevent crimes.
RTCC. But the mayor is concerned about federal immigration authorities tapping into this data and wants to ensure the firewalls are solid.
Too many of the most important protections rely on standard operating procedures rather than clear enforceable policy.
Well, the mayor says there will be a complete system shutdown if federal authorities ramp up their immigration enforcement locally, at least on the level seen in Minneapolis.
Last year, the cameras helped assist in 17 homicide investigations and helped to clear 11 of those. And more information is always better than less information. It helps us to pinpoint the person or persons we're looking for. It prevents us from having to interact with people who had nothing to do with it, and it allows us to be better precision police officers when it comes to keeping everyone safe.
In a statement on X, the Guild president writes, quote, "We're not trying to pile onto Mayor Katie right now, but with so many disturbing examples of CCTV cameras helping to solve violent crime in Seattle and horrific stories like this one, where cameras may have prevented another tragedy, we're respectfully asking her to change her position on CCTV cameras and expand them before the World Cup comes to Seattle."
Socialist Seattle mayor is violating city law over closed-circuit TV cameras being turned off or on pause ahead of the FIFA World Cup. This is per council member. I totally agree with this council member. 100% on board. You've got this system of cameras in the stadium area, stadium zone, in Seattle, and we're going to be on the world stage. Something sideways goes on, and you've got all these cameras ready to roll that could maybe, help out with figuring out what happened, what went wrong, prosecuting some people, arresting criminals doing criminal activity during a major world sporting event, and we don't have them turned on. This just makes Seattle look just terrible. Well, why didn't you have the cameras on? Oh, because, I thought that ICE might use it to deport criminal illegal aliens. Oh, huh. How about, it would be a terrible, terrible event to have something go sideways. In the event it does, this is literally on the mayor of Seattle. How do you think that's going to go? Not well. Let's get into it.
Prompted this.
Basically, we're less than 2 weeks out from the World Cup, and we're not ready. We have capacity with these stadium cameras. They're up, they're installed, but they're not turned. And that's the reason for the letter.
You make a pretty strong allegation here that the mayor is violating city ordinance by not turning these on. Do you think she's violating the law?
Basically, it's interesting. Mayor Harrell had to work through us in ordinances to put the cameras in place across the board, not just the stadium. But here, in return, she's done nothing. She's not engaged city council on these, even though in the law it says, particularly with the word pause, about when and where that could be done. And yes, she's not in sync with that part of the ordinances.
So you believe the mayor is violating the law if she does not turn on the cameras?
I believe that she is not operating according to the ordinances, the law, with respect to the stadium ordinances, and her duties under the charter.
So what does that mean if she holds firm?
Well,
he knows he's walking a fine line. He's very careful with his wording. He's not going to say outright violating the law, but he works it back into the framework of the Seattle City, legal mechanisms in place with these cameras up. And then Katie Wilson's like, boop, no, don't turn on the switch. Just leave them off. What could go wrong?
Well, that means that, we're not doing what we need to do to be ready for these games. We have responsibilities across the board with public safety. We have to be ready for what's going to be coming with the World Cup, and we're not ready. And so she has that responsibility for public safety. And might I add, she also has a responsibility to her oath. We all took the same oath, and her oath was to, in addition to the Constitution and the state's Constitution, was to uphold the charter and the ordinances of the city of Seattle, to include basically 7 or 8 ordinances related to our technology program. Automatic license plate reader, CCTV, the real-time crime center, twice, working with my colleague, Councilmember Rink, on protections for reproductive care and those pieces. We have about 8 ordinances to include the baseline surveillance ordinance. That's the law. And it's quite clear in these ordinances what constitutes pause. And I key on that word because that's not in sync with the ordinances.
Is there?
If you get a chance, and if this is something that interests you, I would highly recommend watching that whole interview. They go on to talk about credible threat. They go on to talk about the fact ICE has its own technology. Department of Homeland Security has its own technology. Do you really think the feds, in order to catch the criminal illegals, need closed circuit TV footage from Seattle? From our little muni system? No. Hell to the no. They've got their own job that they're doing. And it doesn't involve, hey, could you give us that footage? Know what I mean? That's just not happening. And some other really significant points. He basically said, hey, I am not going to litigate against the mayor, but I want to put the mayor on blast. And I think that's worthy of doing. And that's my purpose of podcasting is, if you're not implementing all the procedures and protocols and things written into law, and you've got an event, a world event like the FIFA World Cup, and you're not using all of your tools because you're afraid of this boogeyman that isn't really out there. They also talk, Chris Daniels, Como, the reporter, blue suit, and Bob Kettle, the council member. It's not like this is specifically for the World Cup. Turn the damn cameras on. This is pressure building on the mayor to do something simple like follow the law. But she believes, her opinion, her stance is, it's kind of mind-blowing to me because it's like, hey, turn the cameras on. I came across, I know I'm interrupting right before I read but I got another funny story. I have talked multiple times about how one of the matches in Seattle is Iran versus Egypt. Country executes members from the LGBTQ community for having same-on-same sex. The other one arrests them openly. Somebody decided that Iran versus Egypt in Seattle, where we're flying the pride flag, because, Lord knows, it's Pride Month, and this is the Pride City. We gotta focus on our sexuality. I like to boink women. We gotta celebrate that for some reason, even though that's not really all that necessary, right? You got procreation, celebrating it. Hey, I like women. Congrats. You know what? For Iran versus Egypt in Seattle flies the pride flag. Seattle City Council Public Safety Committee Chair Bob Kettle is escalating his criticism. She probably is. But you know what? Tell me if laws are being followed. Go to Dr. Jose Rizal Park. Tell me if laws are being followed. Go to 3rd and Blanchard, in just north of Pike and Pine, just north of the Blade. Tell me if laws are being followed. They're not. In a sharply worded letter sent Monday, Kettle argues the mayor's decision to pause activation. Pause is the big word. Hey, we're not turning them off, but we're not turning them on. It's merely a pause. It's a pause. You know, actions have consequences. I don't want to see people come to Seattle and get their world rocked, have some family member get killed because of some nut job running around because of whatever, cause they're trying to promote. I don't want to see that. But it wouldn't be bad if there was something that indicated, hey, you know what? Maybe you should have had those cameras on, because now we could figure out what was going on. And we've got all this technology just sitting there waiting to be used. It's the whole point of having it. Other major cities have this technology, and there's other major cities they talk about later in the interview. None of them have them on pause. But because we're so far left here in Seattle, we've got a socialist for a mayor. This is what she thinks is consistent with her ideology. Oh, my word. Criminal illegals might get deported because of working with ICE. With ICE, subpoenas our footage. Unless the event happens first, they don't have this assessment. They don't have this collaboration because it's already happened. Dozens of people are dead. Hey, flip the cameras on. It happened. Oh, credible threat. Oh, we got one now. It's called body bags for days. Pick up fingers off the sidewalk. Yeah. And mayor's office has been asked if there is a change in perspective given Kettle's letter. Nope, unchanged. Per our legal review, we believe council has the authority to pause the use of adopted surveillance technology, but cannot require its use. Man, I would not want to go into court with that. I really wouldn't from a legal standpoint. Granted, I'm a real estate guy. I'm not an attorney. But just that whole thing in the back of my head goes, ugh, good luck with that one. Good luck with that one. They talk about Boston Marathon bombing. The idea you're going to get a credible threat warning is not right. It's not the professional standard. And it doesn't make any sense. Hey, you got a lot of nut jobs that are going to gun for a big, a big public spectacle because that's what gets them the most attention, right? You bomb some people at the Boston Marathon, literally blow people up. You get attention at a big event. World Cup? That's a world stage in Seattle. Cameras get turned on before the games. Enough pressure.